All right, welcome to the show, everyone. My name is Mark. I am your host, and today on the show, got a good friend of mine, Howie. Welcome. It's good to have you.
Thanks, Mark. It's a pleasure being here.
Yeah, it's a pleasure being here. We're out at TY Park right now.
It's beautiful.
It is. It's gorgeous. You got the wind out here. We got the sunshine, Chili the dog behind us, and I brought the recovery band to play for you. You ready? They only know the one song, yeah?
Go.
Here they go. They're going to kick it. Here we go. Kick it, boys. It came standard with the podcast machine that goes anywhere. So I've known you for a while now. I think I met you when I first came into the rooms about a year and a half ago. And how long have you been doing the deal?
I got sober in '86.
Okay.
I was incarcerated. I got introduced to AA when I was incarcerated.
Okay.
And my primary purpose wasn't to get sober. It was to get out of my cell, you know?
Really?
But yeah, they were bringing all these alcoholics in. And my thing wasn't really alcohol. It was narcotics.
Okay.
You know? And the first two meetings I went to, you know, they were talking about, they brought these old drunks in, and I couldn't relate. I go, these guys are pathetic, you know? Then the third guy they brought in was an old junkie.
Yeah.
And he said something.
What'd he say?
One's too many, and 1,000 not enough.
Yeah.
And boy, that made sense to me.
Yeah.
You know, because it was like, I could sum up my life in 4 words. You know, high, withdraw, incarcerated, or sober.
Really?
You know, and I got sober in '86. I stayed sober for 9 years.
Okay.
And all the promises came true. But, you know, it was like back in the 80s, the steps weren't a big thing, or I wasn't really aware of it. You know, I got sober in D.C.
Okay.
And I was going to mostly black meetings because I heard happy, joyous, and free.
Yeah.
You know, and there was a guy named Sandy Beach that he was a real mainstay in AA up there. And he didn't really work steps till his 4th year.
Okay.
You know, so I had a sponsor. I was doing a lot of service work, going to a lot of meetings. I started my business because, man, I was so poor I couldn't pay attention when I first came in.
Yeah.
And I started my little business. But, you know, I was like saying my prayers. I was doing all this stuff. I was doing the first, second, and third step. And my sponsor wanted me to do a 4th step. And I wasn't really ready to give anybody what was going on with me.
Wait, after how long you weren't still ready?
It was like 2 years before my sponsor said to me, let's do a 4th step. Because we were going through things real slow, you know, which is like, that's what I'm taught today.
Yeah.
Easy does it, you know. So I went out to Hazleton, to the Renewal Center, to do my 4th step. And I took it with a priest, you know, and I did my 5th step with him. Was it a searching, fearless moral inventory? No, I didn't really get into it. But I went back to D.C. and I told my sponsor, I did my 4th and 5th step. You know, I was doing a lot of lip service. So it was like everything was good. My business started taking off, and my higher power changed. Money, power, and prestige.
Oh, so you went from God to money.
Yeah, man. That's a drug.
It is.
I don't care what anybody said. That's a drug, man. Because if you look at the $100 bill, it says on the front it's Benjamin.
Yeah.
And on the back, what does it say?
In God we trust.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I know, like, and I've read in the big book that you know, material losses don't necessarily indicate alcoholism, but material gains don't necessarily indicate sobriety.
Sobriety, right.
Yeah.
So I was like 8.5 years sober, and my brother died from this disease.
Wow.
Man, I got like, I get teary today. I get emotional about that, you know, because I didn't deal with it. And I was sober, you know, it was kind of like, push it down.
Yeah.
And I was in a crew with the guys. We started a relapse prevention group. And we used to meet every Thursday night, 7 o'clock to 9 o'clock at night. And that was my base of sobriety.
Yeah.
With this group of guys. When my brother passed away, those guys were the pallbearers, you know.
Yeah.
You know, I had some surgery done, and they gave me narcotics, when I had the surgery. And, I was staying with the program, calling people. After 3 days of the medication, put it down and turn the garbage disposal on. And I was good, but I was doing my medicine, and I was going to meetings, talking to my sponsor, and just, plugged in. And then I had the surgery done again like 6 months later.
Okay, so 2 surgeries back to back.
2 surgeries back to back.
Yeah.
And this is how the disease is so tricky. The second time I had the surgery, they gave me a bigger bottle of narcotics because they did a total replacement on my shoulder.
Yeah.
And I went, after 3 days, I put it down. So, a week is okay.
Yeah.
So I kept taking them. And I went through it. And I want more. Well, it took me 25 years to get back here. And, I would go to meetings. I had the desire to get sober.
Yeah.
But I didn't have the willingness. I wasn't willing to, do what it took, what I did the first time. Yeah. Showing up every day. So I'd go into a meeting, once every 2 weeks and walk out going ain't me, But because I still had the money.
Yeah.
My business was flourishing. It was man, this thing is so tricky because it teaches, the disease teaches us we're okay.
Yeah.
I don't care. You could be on the ground, can't get up, and you go, you're okay. Denial, man. And that's not the river in Egypt either, So,
that's not the first time I've heard that. Really? So it must be true. So wait, so you had gone through it before. You kind of did a little bit of a 4-step and a 5th step. You went through it. You ended up having these 2 surgeries. You went back out, but you tried to come back in. You had the desire, but you just couldn't.
Couldn't do it.
Yeah.
It was like, you got willpower, which is ego, and you got willingness, which is the grace.
Yeah.
I wasn't praying, man. I wasn't praying.
Yeah.
My ego was in charge, and it was like, you had the big home, you had the cars, you had all the toys, you know what I mean? And it's like, I arrived. I could afford my habit. Everything was okay.
So it fueled that ego.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I've heard that in the rooms. It's like, well, ego will take you back out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. When we take over, it's like, it took me 25 years to get back here, but when I came back, I went to detox 4 times. And each time I came out, I used. The last time I came out, what did I do different? I was praying.
Yeah.
I started praying, 2-3 times a day. God, help me.
Yeah.
Just help me. So, I was like, man, I had a nice spot in Sunny Isles, and I just, I moved out. I moved into a sober house.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, that was probably the best thing I ever did because it, introduced me back to humility.
Mm-hmm.
So
you did detoxing straight into sober living.
Right.
Okay.
16 months.
Wow.
And, the last 2 months, man, it was like the crazies were in there. And I told my sponsor, I go, I got to move on. And he went, you ready?
Yeah.
So I got a 2-bedroom apartment with somebody else in the fellowship. I stayed there for like a year.
Yeah.
And I couldn't get a job because of my background check.
Yeah.
It was like every time, man, I was, and I'm good at what I do. I was in the flooring business.
Yeah.
And I did very well. And it's like, man, I went and applied for jobs all over. And I kept going back to my sponsor going like, man, they turned me down. And you know what he would say to me? God has a better plan for you.
That goes back to what I like to read in the book, like 133, God's omnipotence.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So it was like I kept doing it and kept looking and kept doing it. And so I started my own business. Nobody could fire me from my own business,
Yeah.
So, I just started doing my meetings. I didn't forget what my primary purpose was. It was to get sober.
Yeah.
Not to make money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like, I just, man, my life has changed drastically.
Okay.
It's like, I help people. I don't care what it's for. You know, you need a ride, you need lunch, you need clothes, what do you need? What can I do for you?
Well, that's what maximum service.
Primary purpose.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, you know, I have 2 home groups. You know, the one in the morning, West Dixie, and at night is the dog group.
Yeah.
And I show up at both those places. And it's funny, because if I don't show up, somebody calls me.
Yeah.
You okay?
Yeah, I know.
And, you know, that's a good feeling that people care.
Yeah.
You know, they say this is a we thing.
It is.
And it's like, you know, without you, man, I love you. You know, from day one, man, I go, this is my boy right here. You're on my phone as Tattoo Mark.
Well, you know, when I came in, like you were talking about that, like in the beginning when I first started coming to West Dixie was the first AA room that I ever felt comfortable in. And I went there and I met you and some other people, but I remember you and Chili over there. You know, it was like, that was a highlight of my day for like the first year, seeing you guys in the mornings. And then whenever I would see you on the weekends, because I had to work during the weeks, and it was like, but I always loved running into you, because it's like, you know, that's fellowship.
Right.
Yeah. And you're right about that. I remember when people would send stuff over the phone, like just text to check in, or like words of encouragement or inspirational things, and we still get those things, and that's huge.
You know, every morning I send out inspirational stuff.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, I know how I feel when I receive those things.
Yeah.
And it's like, you'd be surprised when I see people and they go, man, thank you for, you know, you made my day with that. And it's like, man, that makes my day to help somebody make their day.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, it seems to come in sometimes right at the right time. Have you ever thought something like, man, I don't know if this is the same deal, but you ever thought something and like something's going on in your life, and all of a sudden something inspirational comes across your text, and it's exactly what you needed to hear.
Right.
In that moment. It's like, okay, thank you, God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got something this morning that was about choice.
Okay.
You know, it's like we have a choice.
Yeah.
And it's like, I didn't have a choice when I was in my addiction.
Yeah.
I didn't. And I didn't realize I did have a choice, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, today, it's like, man, I have a choice, but my choice is to, like, you know, say my prayers.
Yeah.
Go to a meeting, you know, and ask God for me to be of service to him. Ask God to help me be the best person I could possibly be.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, it's like the only thing that really bothers me sometimes is traffic.
It's traffic.
I'm working on that, you know.
We're in Miami.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Like, yeah, it's
crazy.
It is. I noticed the traffic down here. I'm like, oh man, it took a while to get used to it.
Yeah.
Because people just kind of don't care.
Right. Yeah. They're putting something in the water, you know.
Yeah. There was something my sponsor told me. I was stuck in traffic over in Aventurcia one time. And he's just like, I'm like, I don't think I'll be able to make it to the meeting. I'm like, I'm stuck in a traffic jam. And he's like, thank you, God. And I'm like, what do you mean? And he's like, say, thank you, God.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Bro. You're right where you're supposed to be.
What they say is what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And every time I start to MF somebody, I catch myself and go like, okay.
Yeah.
Acceptance. You know,
God's creation. That's such a great page, isn't it?
It is. I mean, that's our backbone.
Yeah.
That and the Serenity Prayer. You know, I have the Serenity Prayer and the third step prayer right on my dash.
Yeah.
Right in front of me.
Ah, okay.
You know, because sometimes when, you know, about a week and a half ago, I got a phone call after the West Dixie meeting, and I wanted to, like, in my head, commit homicide, you know. And what did I do? I went to a noon meeting.
Yeah.
You know, and I felt better, and I went like, I prayed for that person.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, boy, that's weird stuff.
Yeah, right.
Praying for somebody. But, you know, that's what we need, man. We need relief because, man, we are like one flew over the cuckoo's nest.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
some
not
are
just
sicker
me.
than others.
Everybody in the rooms, you know, but it's like, you know, everybody's trying.
Absolutely.
You know, and I'm proud of you, brother.
Thank you.
You know, what you're doing with this right here, this podcast, is like, I mean, that's really giving it away.
That's kind of, you know, what was behind the whole, you know, starting it. And I love going to meetings, hearing the message, learning new things, because we got to stay teachable.
Right.
And living in acceptance is a huge thing. Like, I had a hard time saying that I was an alcoholic when I first came into the rooms. I could never do it.
Right.
Right. And that was, a tough thing. But it's like, through acceptance, you said page 417, it's the way it is.
Right.
I have to accept it. Like, what was the hardest thing for you to accept in recovery?
The first time around, I knew I was a drug addict.
Yeah.
Proven, but I didn't believe I was an alcoholic because I really didn't drink. But then I did a Searching and Fearless moral journey about drinking, and I caught myself every time I wanted to come off of narcotics, I'd fly down to the islands and drink rum.
Oh, wow.
And I never looked at that before.
Yeah.
And I'm going like, I am an alcoholic.
Yeah.
It's the stuff that goes on between our ears is what makes us an alcoholic.
That alcoholic thinking.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
And I don't have any reservations today.
Yeah.
I know where I belong.
Yeah.
And it eases my mind.
Yeah. To live in acceptance that this is it.
Yeah.
It does. The thing, like, when somebody asked me when I couldn't say I was an alcoholic, right? I was sharing this morning about, like, back in 2012, the DUI journey. Like, I didn't want to admit everything. Everybody else had the issue. But when I came in this time, I got asked one simple question by one person. And he said, could you ever do anything in your life unalcoholically? And it's like, well, come to think of it, not really. And that was the big changing point. And so I thought about that for a few days, and I was like, okay, I'm an alcoholic. You know what? I know that I am. Everything started and ended with alcohol. I was always having some kind of crutch. I was always, if it wasn't one thing, it was another. And that was where I started to become acceptance,
right.
Practice acceptance with that.
Right.
Yeah. So what do you find yourself working on in the program? Now, you have how much time this time around?
Like 2.5 years.
2.5 years. And how do you feel now at 2.5 years versus when you first came back this last time?
I'm plugged in this time.
Yeah.
I'm all in.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I got a phenomenal sponsor.
Yeah.
He started off being my sponsor and became my friend. Now he's like I talk to him like 2-3 times a day.
Yeah.
Is he a financial advisor? No, but let me say, I don't make any decisions without talking to him.
Yeah.
About everything.
Yeah.
And I just know I'm not in charge anymore. That's the most important thing, And another thing real important to me is doing service.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do some service in institutions, like jails.
Yeah.
I get a lot of gratitude when I was doing that in D.C. I'd walk into jails and walk out,
Yeah.
and not have to pay a bondsman.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It just...
oh, you're doing jail meetings there.
Yeah. And I'm trying to do that down here now. I went to the BCIC meeting at the 12-step house.
Yeah.
And I had to fill out some papers, and we're going to see what happens so I get accepted.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So I took a meeting to a woman's treatment center. I forgot her name. Anyways, this gal asked me to share there. Mm-hmm. And it was like, man, I saw women have a harder time getting sober than men.
Yeah.
They go through so much more than we do. Mm. And, abuse, and degrading stuff,
mm-hmm.
And, man, when I walk out of there, I felt like I did something good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, those H&I commitments, those are some of the most rewarding ones.
Right.
I went one time to a detox, a couple of times, with our dear friend volunteer Alex.
Mm-hmm.
Went with him a couple of times, and I love that. In fact, that's where I met Terry, and we, those commitments are some of the best ones. In fact, I just got asked to go to do a commitment at a jail, and I'm like, I had a little bit of reservation at first, but I'm like, why not? Why would I hesitate? It's getting out there and helping somebody in recovery. And that's what it's all about.
That's what we do.
Yeah.
That's give my dog some water.
Oh, Chili. She's so amazing.
She's a sober dog. She's a therapy dog for
Did she get her
people.
medallion?
Well, she got her at my home group. It was like, they were doing the anniversaries. They said Chili's got 9 years.
So tell me a little bit about Chili. Chili goes with you everywhere.
Everywhere.
Okay, yeah.
Everywhere.
Oh, you know what I love about her is when we circle up at the meeting, she circles up too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she knows when we say when we say the Lord's Prayer.
Yeah.
Or when we do the chips,
Yeah.
she knows it's time to go.
Yeah.
And then she knows it's the Lord's Prayer.
Yeah.
And she's like peaceful. When they say the Lord's Prayer, she sits down.
Yeah.
Or she walks around and like loves up on people.
Yeah.
She's a good spirit, man. Dog spelled backwards is what? God.
Ah, okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, I've been plugged in with German Shepherds 55 years.
Mm.
And it's always been that. What some people say, you're never alone. I'm never alone.
Yeah.
But
the funny thing about Chili is that I used to have this terrifying fear of German Shepherds. Never been attacked by one, nothing. They always freak me out. Chili has flipped my perspective on that a lot. Like, Chili is amazing. Yeah.
she's a good spirit.
Yeah. Yeah. All it takes is one good spirit to change my whole perspective on everything.
Right.
Like that. Yes. So I hear a lot of gratefulness in you. What are you most grateful for today?
A lot, man. I'm grateful. I'm 74 years old.
Yeah, that blows my mind too, because you get around for 74.
Yeah, man. I just like nothing stops me. I just keep going.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for my health.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for my sobriety.
Yeah.
Most important. Number one, I'm grateful for having good people in my life. People
Yeah.
that care about me.
Yeah.
It's like when I don't show up, somebody calls me. That's a good feeling.
Yeah.
You are missed, So, and I'm grateful. Man, I was taught that, money's not the most important thing in life.
It isn't.
It's like, let me tell you, it's essential. We need to pay our bills.
Absolutely.
But it's like, man, you know what? It's when you do the right thing, good things happen.
Yeah.
Just things happen.
Yeah, they do.
And it's like, good things happen. It's hard to explain, but it's like, just things fall in place.
Mm-hmm.
And when you pray, man, things fall in place.
They do.
Showing gratitude, just having that faith. Faith is pretty powerful.
Yeah.
It's like, man, when I was out there, I had no humility. I didn't have any gratitude.
Yeah.
When I made a ton of money, I wasn't grateful for it.
Did you ever feel complete when you made a ton of money?
No,
Yeah.
I wanted more.
Yeah.
If I had $5, I wanted 10. You know what I mean?
Relate to that.
If I had $1 million, I wanted 2 million. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was just, it didn't fulfill me,
Yeah.
because I pissed it all away.
Yeah.
It was like, man, today I'm just grateful. Just grateful,
Just
man.
grateful. Well, I heard that a grateful alcoholic will never pick up a drink or cry.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So how are some of the ways that you stay grateful?
Service. Just service.
Yeah.
Just service, man. It's like, I got a guy I'm working with, and his self-esteem is like very low.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm real concerned about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I was talking with this gal I know. She does the steps at West Dixie right now. She's out of town right now, but I talk to, I like talking with people a lot of time because they have a lot of experience
Yeah.
with us, And I was telling her what was going on. She'd going like, you might want to talk to somebody to do a wellness check on him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because, man, God forbid something happened, I would feel really bad about it.
Yeah.
So that's something I'm working on this week.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't want to ruffle his feathers, but it's like, I care about him.
Yeah. Well, sometimes I've learned in this program that sometimes people won't say when they're not okay.
Right.
Yeah, and then it's too late.
Ego.
Yeah. Yeah. And I saw that firsthand in a particular situation.
Yep.
You know, and you're gone before you know it.
Man, you know how many people I've seen disappear? I mean, not just disappear, but pass from this disease just in the last 2.5 years. 15.
Wow.
You know, here today, gone tomorrow. It's like, this really is a disease.
Yeah. It is.
Some people don't get it. You know, you talk to people about, you know, alcoholism. They think it's like, you know, it's real.
Yeah. It is, and it's progressively worse every time. When you were out before, and then you came into the program and you went out again,
right?
You couldn't stop. Which was worse, before that, or was it when you went like
the first time? You know, I kind of got clean when I was locked up,
mm-hmm.
and when I got out, I was going to meetings.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't really experience. I did experience withdrawals and everything locked up, but it wasn't like permeated my brain. You know, this time when I went out and I went to detox, again, it was like I was sick, but I was being detoxed with medication.
Yeah.
You know, but the last time when I came in this time, man, I was sweating. I'm telling you, profusely.
Yeah.
For like 60 days, shaking. You know, I would have to change clothes by my side of my bed. I have to change them because I'd be soaking wet.
Yeah.
And that's something I think about all the time.
Yeah.
You know, I keep that fresh in my mind.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because it's like, that's the kind of stuff that's going to keep us sober.
Yeah.
You know, that we realize it's like, this is what happens.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm the type of guy, I'm not lucky enough to die. I mean, I've overdosed. I can't tell you how many times.
Yeah.
But I get locked up.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Break out in handcuffs.
Yeah, man, I've done 5 years of my life locked up.
Wow.
You know? And it's like whatever I was doing. You know what I mean? But it was like, I got locked up 7 years ago.
Yeah.
For doing what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And by the grace and good lawyers, man, you know, I only had to do a little bit of time.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like, I was going like, I can't believe this happened again. That the insanity of this thing, saying it was okay to do what I was doing.
Yeah, it'll lie to you.
Yes.
I've noticed that.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's okay. And it's not. You know, I mean, us making the money. But it was like, again, the money.
Yeah. Well, it was kind of like where I noticed like where it was lying to me before I went into treatment and everything is like, okay, I talked this morning about the DUI, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then the other half of that is right before I remember saying, I'll never do it again. I'll never do it again. And it would say to me, now looking back at it, it would say to me in my head, it's okay, you can drink and drive.
Right.
And I was doing that. And by the grace of God, I didn't hurt anybody. I didn't get a second DUI, none of that stuff, but I could have. It's just like, oh, it's only a couple drinks. Yeah, we'll mix that with other stuff. And, you know, now it's out. But I remember the lies that would go through my head. Like, it's okay. You know, it won't happen again. Don't worry about it this time. And that's the lying that
The
goes on.
guy I met when I was locked up,
Yeah.
he was in the cell next to me.
Mm-hmm.
Bobby H.
Okay.
I walked out of my cell one day and he was praying. And I'm going, Bobby, what are you doing? And he kind of came out of his thing and he went like, I'm praying. I go, I can see that. For what? He goes, he was in there for vehicle manslaughter. He killed somebody when he was drunk.
Oh, wow.
And he got out on bond and he got sober, went to court. They gave him time. And he was grateful. you know? So he was going back for sentence reconsideration. And, you know, he had like 15, 20 people show up in court for him.
Wow.
AA people.
That's God.
Yeah, and the judge cut his time. But that's the guy who helped me get sober.
This time around.
No, the first time.
Oh, the first time.
First time.
Yeah.
And I used to see him at meetings on the street in D.C., you know. But this thing is so tricky.
Yeah.
If you stop doing what we're supposed to be doing, and that's why I call it my medicine.
Yeah.
If you stop taking your medicine, we forget.
Well, it's one of those things I hear that you know, that's the way it always goes. It goes backwards.
Right.
We need to stop going to meetings, stop helping others, doing these things, and pretty soon you're back out the door.
Right.
And I always hear that same story over and over when people go back out.
We see it.
Yeah.
We see it all the time.
Absolutely.
You know, like who was it? The young lady picked up 17 years this morning. She was talking about she had this whole group of people that she used to go out to eat with that were in meetings. And a couple of years later, out of the whole group, there was like 3 or 4 people left.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, those 3 or 4 people are the ones that are blessed.
Yeah.
You know, that are doing the work, that are helping another alcoholic, that are like, you know, when you do, you know, it says service, unity, and recovery. It's like when you do it. I saw something on TV one Saturday night, and I was up till 2 o'clock. It was talking about the Native American Indians, and it talked about how there was no currency in their lives. You know, it was horses and teepees, and if somebody came into their family, they would give them a horse, a teepee.
Oh, wow.
So there wasn't any real ego involved. You know,
Yeah.
there wasn't no currency about it. And that's kind of like AA. It's like, you know, when you're doing service work, you're serving God.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's like, you know, I used to think, oh, just service work, you know, that's all I do. You know? But after seeing that show on TV, man, I had a whole new attitude towards service.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, man, it's like, that's what I do.
The best part is I love service because we don't get paid like for it.
Right.
You know, it's one of the things like anything, speaking, going and doing these meetings. But what I do is I get paid in like this feeling of gratitude,
Right.
and gratefulness and love, and that's the real reward. When when those feelings come up, like just grateful to be alive.
Man, I love you. I see you, you know, this is doing service work.
Yeah.
You know this big book. It's like I got sober a little book called The Little Red Book.
Yeah, the little
You ever
red
read that?
book. Oh yeah.
That's what I use. That's what my sponsor taught me.
Okay.
And that's what I teach my sponsees.
Oh, the little red book.
Yeah. And it's like I read the big book a couple times, and
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm ADD. I have a hard time retaining.
Welcome to the club.
Yeah. So you know what my sponsor says? I go, you know, Joe, I have a hard time reading. I didn't do good in high school,
Yeah.
you know, but I'm good in business with
Yeah.
numbers. Numbers come to me, but I have a hard time retaining. So he goes, read 2 pages and then read the same 2 pages over again. And then the next night, just read 2 pages
Yeah.
and read them over again. So it's like, I don't care how much time you got. Every time you read that thing, it's something different you get out of it.
That's true.
You know, there's always a different interpretation that we do on it.
Yes. In the beginning, was it hieroglyphics to you completely? Like,
Oh,
it
man.
was it? Yeah.
But I read that in prison.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, man, I read it twice in prison. You know, and it made sense to me about a lot of stuff. The guy, I had a buddy on the street when I got out. His name is Bobby Y. Bobby's dead.
Really?
Yeah, you know how they say some are unconsciously capable of getting honest?
Yeah.
And he was a thoroughbred. He was a great guy going to meetings, but he just couldn't get honest, and he OD'd.
Yeah. Wow.
You know, he gave me a big book that was highlighted. I mean, the whole book. I mean, you know what they call about a spiritual gangster?
Yeah.
He was a spiritual gangster. He knew this thing. He couldn't what my sponsor says is, don't thump the big book. Practice it.
That's beautiful. Yeah. The big book's amazing.
Yeah,
the little
man.
red book's amazing too. I've been through it. I need to dive a little bit more into it, but that little red book has got some special stuff in it.
Simple.
That's what George read from this morning, was the little red
Right,
book. Yeah.
right.
Yeah, I asked him, I was like, you got your big book with you? And he's like, no, I've got the little red book. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, here we go.
I keep it in my
Yeah.
car.
Yeah.
You know, it's like
I have a copy of it. Yeah, too.
Like if I'm sitting waiting for somebody, I pull it out and read a couple pages of it. You
Yeah.
know, and I highlight certain things, but it's like, you know, I used to read Playboy all the time, and it's like, you know, my big book, man. I love my big book.
Yeah. Wait, you would read Playboy, or would you just look at Playboy?
I would read too, you know. I did
The
read-
articles.
I'm a dirty old man, you know.
You know, I've heard people say, "Oh, I read Playboy for the article." I never once read Playboy. I was never there to read. So, Howie, thank you so much for your time today. Look, this is about the newcomer.
Yes.
Yeah. And so, is there anything that you want to say to any newcomer that might be listening to this?
Just go to meetings, and if you don't read the big book, talk to somebody, and just pray
Yeah.
and have faith. And if you don't have faith that when you go to a meeting that people have faith, you know. And it's like, just keep going and going until you'll hear the message if you keep coming, you know.
Keep coming back.
Just keep coming back. You know, it's like when I see somebody in a meeting, they say they got 5 or 6 days or something like that, I get around them.
Yeah.
I give them my phone number, tell them to call me, you know, and it's like, that's what we got to do.
That's what you did to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I see you and some other people doing. Those ones that are always about around the newcomer.
Yeah, I don't even talk about service. You know, some people talk about what they do, this and that. I'm just undercover. You know,
I like that. You're
I
spiritual gangster, Howie. You're like the James Bond of recovery over here. You're like, I'm here, but I'm not here.
Right.
I'm just blending in.
And I come in late sometimes, man. It's like, you know, I get busy in the morning. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't know, I could have been 5 minutes, 10 minutes late, but it's like, I'm there.
You know what I do notice about you, Howie? Is that you're always listening.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's some people that have a good message in our groups,
Yeah.
you know.
There is.
Some of them are like off the charts, but you know, it's like this one guy we know, I don't mention any names. He's an entertainer when he talks. He has the information, and the way he presents it is like, I could listen to him all day long.
Mm-hmm.
He just, you know who I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
And I love the guy.
Yeah.
You know, he called me this morning with concern about somebody else, and I just said to him, you know, for the grace of God, we're here, man, and all we can do is pray for that guy. You know, because if you try to pull him up on it, you know how it is.
Mm-hmm.
Here we're going back to the word denial.
Yeah. Well, denial's a huge thing. This disease will lie to me and tell me that nothing's wrong.
Yep.
Yeah.
Everything's okay.
Yeah, and I got it. It's up. I noticed that the more spiritual I get with it, the easier it's able to catch that. But sometimes, you know, I don't catch it till it's too late. It's like, whoa, there it is. You know, but denial is a huge part of it.
But you know what you're doing, man? You're like the future of AA. You know, you just keep doing this thing, and it's like, you don't believe how many people you help. You know, like when you send me the recording from other people, I send it to other people.
Yeah, that's what it's about.
You just don't know who you're going to help.
Yeah. It was one of those things where I had asked somebody in the program, actually a friend of ours who's very entertaining, and he said it this. He's like, would you rather do it or sit around thinking about doing it?
Right.
And, you know, I'm like, you know what, that's true. And so started doing it, and that's what it's about. It's solely about just getting it out to other people in recovery and getting other people's perspectives on recovery, because we never know whose message is going to help who and when, and it's just about getting it out of there. There's people that won't come to this part, won't ever be, you know, this part of Florida and be in a room where you might be, and maybe it's something that you said that will help somebody.
Right.
You know, so put it out there and
This is where I bring my sponsees.
really?
Yeah, right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I pick up some bottles of water. I might go to the sub shop, pick up a sub. We have lunch. We hang out for a couple hours. And just like, and you know what? They help me.
Really?
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I do things with them I don't do for myself. You know, I sit down and just start reading with them.
Yeah.
And it's like every time I read something, like I said before, like I get a different interpretation.
I heard a rumor that when you do service, it's usually 100% success rate, right? At no time while doing service or working with somebody did anybody pick up a drink or drug.
Right. Right. And you know who you're helping most when you're doing service?
Who?
Yourself.
Bingo. That's It's this park is beautiful. I love the sound of the sirens in the afternoon.
The breeze.
The breeze.
The trees.
Look at this. We got a family over there playing. Look at that. It looks like a little birthday party going on. Yeah. Over there's the water park, and people just out enjoying the day.
You know what they say? Cut it short. When we do the Lord's Prayer, they go, "Who put the breeze in the trees?" Here we are.
Yeah. Has Chili still got the coconut over there?
Yep.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Howie. The Recovery Band, they're going to take us out.
All right.
You like that song?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I wish they'd learn another one, right? Maybe they will someday. Kick it, boys. Yeah. Thanks so much for your time, Howie.
Love you, man.
Love you too.
All right.